Aloha Executive Committee. If you'll just give me a couple of moments, and there's just a couple of things I want to share with you. First of all, I just really appreciate that of your willingness to join us Thursday evening. So this coming Thursday, 6:30, it's going to be a Zoom meeting, so just find a comfortable place to sit wherever you are. That's just absolutely fine. This is not a meeting that's going to take very, very long. Two main issues, really. One, of course, is we want to just keep expeditiously moving forward the search for a treasurer. I mean, we as a conference are in the middle of some really big things right now. Obviously, we're still dealing with the reality of COVID-19, so we've got financial issues that obviously we're going to be addressing for months to come, probably at least through the end of this year, when we're going to get a much better idea as to where we are financially. So I want to address that issue on Thursday evening. And then secondly, this kind of goes back to our last executive committee. We had quite a lengthy discussion as far as background checks for our members of our churches. And we were asked to contact our legal counsel, Mark Valencia, with a couple of questions. I thought some good questions that needed to be clarified. Anyways, we have heard from him. And so instead of just sending out an e-vote, Jerry and I have said, look, let's just, when we have our Zoom executive committee with our dealing with the issue of treasurer, let's just go ahead and deal with this one as well. So those are the two things right there. And of course, anything else that you want to discuss, that's why we're there, and we're happy to address whatever else might be on your mind. But I just want to assure you, this is not a long meeting. So this is not your typical agenda with all the other things that we're going to be going through. This, I can't imagine this. Maybe, I don't even think it's going to go an hour. It could be a half hour. So don't feel like you're going to be giving up an entire evening. But I do appreciate your willingness to come. But I just want to, as long as I have your attention, this is going to be just maybe a 1 minute little devotional thought. I hold in my hands, it's not the Bible, but it's something that's also very precious to me. It is the hymnal. I was raised on these hymns, so it's just in my DNA. I love these hymns. I realize there's a lot of other good Christian music to be singing now, which is great, but hymns are, it's my DNA, perhaps for you too. Charles Wesley wrote he wrote many just majestic hymns. One of them, though, is hymn number 250. It's entitled, "Oh, for a Thousand Tongues to Sing, My Great Redeemer's Praise." I love this hymn, but there's one verse in here that in particular has just captured my heart. And it's verse number 3. There's 6 verses, it's verse number 3. And I'm just going to read to you what he says here in verse number 3. He writes and says, "Jesus, the name that charms our fears." But here's the interesting way that he writes this. It's not just Jesus, comma, the name that charms our fears. It's Jesus, J-E-S-U-S, exclamation mark, the name that charms our fears. In fact, this entire hymn, it's just filled with Jesus. You can sense it coming out of Charles as he writes this hymn. But I love that word charms. Jesus, the name that charms our fears. And of course, Ellen White comes along and she uses the word charms in the same kind of a context in which she says, we cannot help but be charmed by the matchless attractions of the Son of God. I love that one too. We cannot help but be charmed by the matchless attractions of Jesus. Jesus, the name that charms our fears away. Hey, listen, we all have problems to be solved and crises to deal with and challenges in our lives, whether it's just personal, family, or the conference. Every single day, I wake up knowing there's a problem that needs to be resolved. There's multiple. It's like airplanes landing at an airport. As soon as one comes down, another one's waiting up there to land as well, one after another after another. So this is just an appeal from me to nudge us, to remind us that every single day, who are we going to call? Whose number are we going to dial? Jesus, because Jesus is the one who charms our fears away. Jesus is the one who has these matchless charms every single day. It's like David in Psalm 5. David says, every morning I'm going to come to you. Every morning you will hear my voice. And so for us as leaders, particularly as spiritual leaders on the executive committee, let's just make sure, just go to the Word every single morning, because that day there's going to be multiple planes waiting to land in your life somewhere, somehow, every single day. So that means that every single day we need to make sure that we are dialing the name of Jesus. J-E-S-U-S. Jesus. The name that charms our fears away. Anyways, just a little devotional thought I wanted to share with you at the beginning of this week. Just love you guys, appreciate you, thank you for your support. And if you're able, this coming Thursday evening, I just want to encourage you to just join us by Zoom as we continue to make some decisions that will help advance the cause, the mission, and the soon coming of Jesus here in the Hawaii Conference. Aloha and God bless.